but this was one of the first times I felt pride in so long. Like,
you're a rebel, getting into trouble. You are kind of like a fire, like a fire, like a fire. Unpredictable, so original. You are never backing down, backing down, backing down.
I had so planned on making this video sooner, but life gets busy. When life gets busy, I've been working on building my website for yoga, and it's been a lot of work, so I let this video slip away from me. But I am officially a registered yoga teacher, and I honestly could just cry. I feel so blessed and so overjoyed. I think I talked about this on my podcast just really shortly, but I went into yoga teacher training and I started an 11-month program, and something just didn't feel right for me. At first I thought that I would need the really long intensive to like really dive into my practice, and I think that a lot of that was my insecurity that I didn't even know was there. I thought, okay, a year, that'll give me time to grow in my practice and like master these badass yoga poses, and then I'll be like this bad bitch plus size yoga instructor that everyone wants to, like, you know, that can be an example of like, oh, you can do this. But then I ended up switching into an 8-week program, which was much more fast-paced, and there was just so much information and so much practice, and like my body has never been that sore. And it wasn't even me, like everyone, every week when we came in, everyone was like, oh, I'm so sore, I'm so tired. So it gave me comfort knowing that I wasn't just tired and sore because I was plus size. Everyone was tired and sore, you know. But going into the 8-week, even though there was so much more to learn, and it's 200 hours crammed into 8 weeks, and 8 weekends really. So I went Friday nights from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So there were long days, and I really had to embrace my imperfection there because I didn't have that crutch like my old training. I did both of my trainings at the same school. I just switched after 4 months of my 11-month. I switched to the 8-week training. I had to embrace my imperfection because I wasn't able to use the crutch of I have 11 months before I start teaching to master this thing. It was more of like, this is where you are here and now. Appreciate it. If you grow, perfect. If you don't, this is what your pose looks like. And that's fine, because yoga isn't about what your pose looks like. It's about reaching enlightenment and connecting to the divine, and the divine for me is God. And for me, this was like a huge growth for me spiritually. Getting into like deep meditation and connecting to God in yoga teacher training was just so spectacular. But without going into how life-changing and how spiritual yoga teacher training was right away, I'll kind of talk a little bit about what we went over. So we go over what I call the 10 commandments of yoga, which is the yamas and the niyamas. So there's 5 yamas and 5 niyamas, so 10 commandments of yoga is what I call them. And that's kind of the principles of yoga. What does it look like to be a yogi? What should you focus on to help you grow and reach enlightenment, to tap into your purpose and to use your purpose to serve others and serve the divine, which is all talked about in yoga. They talk about serving the divine a lot, which really connected to me as a Christian, because that's what my whole life is about, is serving, you know. So we did that, and then we talked about the history of influential yogis. So we went over, you know, Iyengar and so many different yogis. I can pull out my book and show you guys sometime the different yogis we went through, but we went through the history of yoga, yoga philosophy. We also went over tons of anatomy. You have to know a lot of the bones, a lot of the muscles, so that people don't get injured in your classes. One thing that I was really passionate about was assisting in adjustments. Because I'm a plus size woman, I feel like people never really knew what to do with my body in classes, but being able to see myself, especially like on film and things like that, to see what my alignment looks like in comparison to the thin person's alignment, so that I can better serve the plus size community when it comes to assisting them into getting into difficult poses, to make sure they're safe going into it and that they can feel confident and supported going into those kinds of poses, and adjusting to make sure that you're not going to get hurt and that you're really engaging the parts of your body that you need to engage to keep from getting hurt, and to safely practice. So we went over anatomy, of course, all of the poses. Well, not all of the poses, there's so many yoga poses, but a good amount of poses, and how to get into poses, how to cue into poses. Now, the school that I went to, they do not demo. So my teacher training was based on teaching using your words. So a lot of time we're just going round circle and sharing, because they want you to feel open to share and be seen. And just being in front of 35 people and having to talk and having to see all those eyes on you is a big part of being a teacher. So I love that part of the experience of having to be seen, and like having to stand in front of people. They see you, you see them, and then them listening to your words. So at my school, you don't, sit in the front of the class and do yoga with your students, because if you're in your practice, you can't make sure that your students are practicing safely, so we don't demo. You kind of walk around, you do the cues, you're explaining, you can demo difficult poses, but you're mostly there to assist, adjust, to make sure that everyone is having a safe experience. We went over chakras, all of the chakras, and we also went over like essential oils to go with each chakra. We went over Ayurveda, we found out what our doshas were, and we also did the Native American medicine wheel, which was really awesome. And we did this cool Native American like dance flow, which was really awesome. We learned about sequencing. We did an advanced poses workshop as well. We got to go to a glow party, which is kind of like out of the box yoga, how to team teach and things like that. So that's pretty much all curriculum wise that I can think of right now. But experience wise, I kind of got into it before, is a huge spiritual experience. At first I had a really tough time with it because it's 35 people, so it's a lot of people. And one, it's hard to keep that many people on topic. When they ask a question, then things just go all over the place, and it's like, can we get back on topic? It's almost like being in high school. And then they separate you into groups for our final presentation, which our final presentation was to, this is my 4th video I filmed today, so like my mouth does not want to work anymore. So our final presentation was teaching a class to all of our teachers and the rest of our class. So we're separated into groups of 6, and that's who we taught with. And I, for one, hate group work. I like to do everything on my own. I just do. I'm an independent worker. I'm an extrovert. So when I do my work, that's the only time that I feel like I get like time for introspection at all. So that was really hard for me, but honestly I have such a great bond with all of the girls in my group, and I'm really glad that they split us into groups, because when you're in such a big class like that, you can't connect with every single person. Even though I do have a small connection with each person, you can't connect with each person. So splitting us into groups of 6 really let us form a tribe, and I love each person in my group, all for different reasons, and they're all like beautiful and powerful women. So the part that I hated the most ended up being something that I loved the most. Teaching with my group was like the most empowering thing. And honestly, as an extrovert, I was kind of intimidated going into it. Like, sometimes when it was time for me to teach, I'd start to like stumble over my words and like almost get a little bit of stage fright, which is so crazy because I've been on a stage my entire life, you know. I was a musical theater major, dance minor, and my life has been spent on a stage, but it was so difficult as an adult teaching other adults. But then when it came time for my final project 8 weeks later, I was nervous before, but as soon as I knew it was my time, it was just like being in theater again. Like, I was nervous before, but then once I got on the stage, I just like completely owned it, and I felt so empowered seeing every booty booty and body move to every word that I said, and hearing at the end how my words impacted people was just such a blessing, because that's all I want to do is impact people and speak God's word. And like, the thing that I read, it wasn't biblical, but it related so much, and to hear that people really appreciated it even though they weren't religious, and even though it didn't come off religious either, it was just about like being responsible for the quality of your life, and how powerful it is when you decide that your life is your own. And hearing that people really appreciate it, that was really, really awesome. I had quite the journey getting to yoga teacher training. I had applied at a different studio. If you watch my initial announcement video that I was going to be a yoga teacher, and then I got into the studio that I wanted into. Then I started in a class that didn't feel quite right, and ended up moving to another class, and this was the class I was meant to be in, honestly. My teachers were so amazing. Madeline, Patsy, Sean, Bridget, they're all, Jen came in and did nutrition, and they're just all so different, but I learned so much from each one of them. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know how they do it, how they hold space for so many people. And you'll hear that a lot, in hold space. And it's just like being a safe place where people can come to their mat. And I feel like your mat, like Amber Karn says, is the one place where you cease fire, where you're not attacking yourself. And then for me, it's like the place where you can be yourself more, and where you get to know yourself, and where you get to like observe changes in yourself week after week, day after day. You get to know yourself more and more. And then you're laying in Shavasana, you're like, oh man, this workout's over. And then you have like these deep conversations with the Lord, or you have these deep realizations, or someone keeps popping into your head and you call that person and you reconnect and something amazing happens. But like, it's like everything's so much more connected than we think it is. And I know I'm sounding all like woo-woo yogi, but honestly, that's just how I feel. And there were so many times during training I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, do I want to be a yoga teacher? Like, what is this? And then like at the end teaching my class, I was like, yes, you do. Every time I do yoga, it's like you want to share this, because it's so multifaceted, and it's so much more than a workout. It's like healing and transformative and amazing. So I'm so happy that I did yoga teacher training. Like, I said this on the podcast, like, I do a lot of things in my life, and I'm blessed enough to be able to be creative on the internet. And you know, some people are like, you want to go back to work being a yoga teacher? And it's just like, I've done a ton of things in my life, but this is one of the first times I felt pride in so long. Like, I know I'm a really great person and all, but I haven't felt proud of myself for so long. Like, to me, this was like such a big accomplishment. And it's not even like a big accomplishment in like a gloaty way. It's just like, I feel like being able to stand in the front of a room and share everything that I've ever gained through my practice with someone else is so amazing. So I'm just really proud that I took the leap, and even though, Jesus Christ, please bless my makeup, even though my practice isn't perfect and I don't have a headstand and whatever, you don't need a headstand to teach yoga. Like, you need a big heart, and you need to represent the people that you don't see. I went to yoga for years, not seeing another black person. I still haven't seen someone as fat as me at my yoga studio ever. And to know that someone might look at me and just think, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. And then beyond that, go into it for the physical or whatever it may be, or because they think that the poses look cool, but end up like transforming their life and the way that they feel about themselves and the way that they feel about the world and the way that they live completely is so awesome to me. So, like, I haven't felt pride like this in so long. And I'm really glad that I didn't get in my own way. That I didn't let whatever little lingering insecurities or whatever get in the way of what I wanted to do. So I'm crying on the internet, which I hate. I literally hate crying on the internet. But if you're plus size and you're thinking about taking yoga teacher training, if you're not plus size, if you're black, if you're any kind of person that you don't see doing yoga, please do it. Like, please, if you have that urge to go to training, I get so many messages on Instagram like, I want to get it, but I want to get my RYT, but my practice isn't perfect yet, or I wanted to lose a little bit more weight, or I have this injury. People need that. People need adaptive yoga. People need a realistic example of what yoga can be. Yoga doesn't have to be this fancy thing, you know? You might be that one face that someone needs to see to get into yoga, and that they're missing it if you don't follow your heart and do what you think you're supposed to do. So I've cried enough here, so I'm gonna go. Yoga teacher training was amazing. If you live in Austin, I got certified at Black Swan Yoga, which is owned by Onnit. It's a donation-based studio, which there's nothing more empowering than to be able to name the price for your wellness. That's so beautiful to me. Even though there are amazing studios, $30 drop-in is crazy. $28 drop-in is crazy, you know? Being able to go one week and pay $10 and the next week you only have $2, but then a few weeks later maybe you can give them $20, you know? But being able to name the price to be well and for your healing and for your mental is so awesome. So that's all I have to say. I want to thank you guys for watching, and until next time, remember to keep an open mind, keep an open heart, practice unconditional compassion, but don't take shit from anyone. Oh, my makeup bounced back okay. I love you endlessly, and I hope you love yourselves even more. I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.